Okay, let's talk virtual reality. So let's start with the basic question. What is VR? Well, in simple, virtual reality, or VR, is the use of computer technology to create a simulated environment. Virtual reality doesn't only use sight to immerse a user into an environment, but also uses sound and sometimes even haptic feedback. A popular example of this in VR are virtual reality arcades. The moving seats vibrate to make you feel like you're anywhere, from a rickety roller coaster to an abandoned sight cord. Virtual reality is usually associated with headsets, but they can be way more elaborate with things like VR rooms, which are surrounded by screens. The most obvious application for VR is entertainment. I've already mentioned VR arcades, but there is something called 3D cinema, which has given the entertainment industry so many new creative outlets. Musical artists are now creating VR 360 music videos, which are a great way for the watcher to feel more connected with the artist. Also, VR art has emerged directly from this form of technology. Virtual reality has really opened up a world of ways to express and observe art. Also, companies are getting creative by using VR advertising. Virtual reality is also used within the workforce as a means of training. Doctors perform virtual surgeries, pilots fly simulated planes, architects watch their creations come to life. Well, virtual life. And so many other professions use VR in their own ways. A common concern about VR is how private it really is. Virtual reality does need to track your movements to a certain extent for the full experience. However, more elaborate VR tracks more movement. These tracked movements are susceptible to being hacked or even given away by the companies, and this can create a huge privacy problem if VR becomes more popular. Virtual reality is predicted to be a force to be reckoned with within the economy. Virtual, alongside augmented reality, is projected to add up to $2.4 trillion to the global economy, as well as create 23 million jobs, all by 2030. And this jump was predicted before COVID-19. So with real-life experiences taking a hit from this pandemic, immersive technology is bound to rise. I previously talked about VR in trainings for certain professions. However, that's not all. Retailers will also rely on VR. From virtual fitting rooms to augmented furniture, these all help customers feel more comfortable with their purchase, which was a luxury that was lost within the pandemic. VR can also help companies view trends within what customers like and don't like. Privacy is an ethical concern when it comes to VR, but it also has the power to ruin someone financially. Remember when I talked about companies selling the data of some people's movements? Well, that is not as harmless as it sounds. This data is gold to insurance companies. Insurance companies can use this data to determine whether someone is or isn't fit for life insurance. If your movement data points to early stages of a mental or physical illness, insurance companies can use that to either raise their prices drastically or just flat out deny you. Well, traditional headsets aren't the best for the environment because one, they use a ton of plastic, two, they aren't biodegradable, and three, they use a lot of fossil fuels in the process. Also, they don't have designated recycling programs. This technology is still fairly new, but it won't be as the years pass, and it will start to be more common. So, creating a designated recycling program would be a smart idea. Although there aren't many cases where VR directly combats environmental issues, it can be a big help with raising awareness for lesser understood environmental issues. I'll give you two examples. One, WWF gave people the opportunity to view the Indonesian rainforest as a forest ranger, which raised awareness for poaching. And two, Time let people see the effects of deforestation on the Amazon rainforest firsthand. Well, virtually. So, VR uses its ability to immerse users into a new environment, and programmers bridges the gap between immersion into a new environment and raising awareness for the environment. So first up, it's a software developer. The job description is pretty self-explanatory. You develop software. But don't let that fool you. It's still one of the most important parts of VR. To go a little bit more in depth with software developers, they create the code and they ensure that the code is without error, which is very important. This job requires a keen eye for detail, as well as logic to understand different programming languages. Huge companies like Facebook and Google and Apple are all starting to put a lot more money into developing new VR and AR software. Software developers usually have a computer science degree, so here are the top 3 places in Ontario to go and get that degree. But if you have a little bit of artist in you, I suggest that you try graphic engineering. Graphic engineering is a mix between art and engineering. You will need some creativity as well as a strong sense of code. This job is a crucial part of VR because they handle visuals as well as animation. And you can't have VR without visuals and animation. Kind of defeats the whole point. A software engineering degree is preferred for this job. So here are the top 3 places in Ontario to go get that degree. Thank you so much for listening to this video, and I hope that you learned a little bit more about all the different aspects of VR.